You told yourself you'd start today. You even wanted to. And then the hours slipped past. The thing stayed undone. Again. And that quiet, familiar verdict rose up in you. What is wrong with me? Why am I so lazy? Dear Seeker, I want you to hear this before we go one step further. You are not lazy. Something else is happening inside you. Something older and far kinder than laziness. And once you can see it, I think the shame you have carried for so long can finally set itself down. So stay with me, because there is a version of you who wakes with her own life stirring again, bright, unhurried, hers. And by the end of this, you will understand why it went quiet and how it comes back. We are taught to see stillness as a failure of will, that if we only tried harder, wanted it more, we would move, we would succeed. But Carl Jung spent his life studying the energy of the human soul, and he saw something we still miss. Your energy is alive. It is not a switch you forgot to flip. It is a living thing with its own wisdom. And when it seems to desert you, when you cannot begin, cannot rise, cannot make yourself care, it is very often not weakness at all. It is protection. Let me show you what I mean. In a village full of gardens, there lived a woman named Elin, and as I tell you about her, you may start to recognize her. You may even recognize yourself. When Elin was a girl, she had a garden of her own, and it grew wild and bright, because she tended only what she loved. She followed whatever lit her up, and everything she touched came into bloom. But Elin had gentle hands and a soft heart, and the village noticed. "Tend mine," they began to ask. "Mine is failing, and yours always thrives." And Elin could not say no, because being needed felt like being loved. And somewhere along the way, she had learned that her worth was measured in what she grew for other people. So season after season, she knelt in everyone else's soil. And the whole village bloomed. Every garden but one. Her own. There was simply no season left for it. And maybe you know how that happens. Not all at once. Just one yes at a time, until the years have gone by, and your own garden is the one you never quite get to. Then, slowly, so slowly she never saw the day, Elin's own beds went grey and bare. She would stand at her gate in the morning, seeds in her hand, and find she could not plant them. She wanted to. She just couldn't. Her hands would not move. And the village looked over her fence at the bare grey beds and said the word that would haunt her. Lazy. And Elin believed them. That was the cruelest part. She stood in the grey of her own garden and thought, something in me has died. I've gone empty. After everything, I am failing them all. But here is what Elin could not see, and what I need you to hear tonight. Her garden had not died, it had gone quiet on purpose. Because this is what a living thing does when it is planted over and over in ground that was never its own. It does not keep hurling itself up into a frost that only breaks it. It draws its life back down into the dark, and it waits, not because it has given up, but to survive, to keep the whole of its future safe until it finally reaches soil that is its own. And in a person, dear seeker, it looks exactly like the thing you have been calling laziness. The mornings you cannot begin, the task you stare at and cannot start, the care you cannot make yourself feel. That heaviness is not a flaw in you. It is your own life, gone underground, refusing, at last, to be spent one more season on a life that was never yours. Jung saw this more than 100 years ago. He said the soul draws its energy down into the dark, not to end us, but to stop us, when we have wandered too far from who we truly are. The stillness is not the death of your life. It is your life, protecting itself. Carl Jung once put it this way: who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. When you look outside for the cure, more discipline, more pressure, one more hard push, you only dream. It is when you turn and look inward and ask whose life you have actually been living that you begin to wake. And if something in you tightened just now, if your eyes stung even a little, then you already know this, don't you? You have tended everyone's garden but your own. You have poured your life into ground that gave you nothing back, and then called yourself lazy when you had nothing left to give. You were never lazy. You were faithful, just to the wrong soil, and it has cost you more than anyone ever thought to ask. So the question Elin kept asking was the wrong one. She kept asking, how do I force myself to bloom again? But the question that finally set her free was quieter and much harder. What do I actually want to grow? And whose life have I been living instead? She started small, one seed, one corner of her own plot, not what was useful, not what the village needed, only the one thing that had made her feel alive as a girl, the small, private joy she had set aside so long ago she'd almost forgotten its name. She stopped forcing the empty beds, and for once, she knelt in her own ground. And the life that had waited all that time in the dark felt its own season come. And it began, slowly, to rise. I won't tell you it was easy for her, and I won't pretend it will be for you. Turning back to your own life is frightening, especially when so many people have come to rely on you tending theirs. Some in the village were not glad when Elin's hands stayed home. Their disappointment was real, but it was not proof that she was wrong. It was only the cost of the long road back to herself. And the waiting is part of it too. You cannot drag a seed up out of the ground before its hour. That long grey season was never idleness. It was your life, keeping itself alive underground, until you were finally ready to live it. So imagine it, waking one ordinary morning and feeling it stir again. Your own life, quiet and green and unmistakably yours, growing towards something you actually want. Not because you forced it, because you finally stopped kneeling in everyone else's dirt and planted something for you. That is what waits on the other side of the word lazy. Not more discipline. You, your own life, coming back into bloom. If Elin's story stirred emotions in you tonight, leave one word below for me, mine. Just that. A small mark to yourself that your life is your own. Yours to tend, yours to grow, yours to finally live. Leave it, and know that not one of them goes unseen, and that it might hand a little courage to the next tired woman who reads it, the one who has been calling herself lazy for far too long. And before you go, if you know that pull to keep tending a life that was never yours, there is one more story waiting for you, appearing beside me now. For the woman who carries everyone, the strong, capable one the whole village leans on, who has quite forgotten how to set the weight down. Step over to it whenever you're ready. Until then, seekers, walk gently, be kind, and remember, you are already enough. The best self you seek is already inside you.